Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. Got another video for you. Let's see, this one is, I did a video presentation a couple of weeks ago about the top grossing films and the deep psychology of why people heavily identify with these popular themes that we find in films. And one of them, of course, was Titanic, and we were talking about the sorrow of monogamy and why Titanic was such a popular movie. And so there's this other thing having to do with along these same lines, and it's called love marriages. And the word of the day here is culturally enforced monogamy. So we see monogamy as like a control structure a lot from religions, various religions, pretty much like all the Abrahamic religions as well as Buddhism. You have this emphasis on monogamy. And in the video we were talking about, 50-60% divorce rate. There's a high propensity for what they call cheating, quote unquote cheating, even though cheating doesn't exist. You're just simply fulfilling your biological desires, which is not a bad thing. Perhaps people don't go over it with their loved ones in such a way that these different feelings that people have, they're buried deep down quite often. And then, yeah, it's a deep topic. Maybe we'll do that in our next video. But for today, we're talking about these love marriages, intercaste love marriages, and people actually being hunted down and killed to prevent intermarrying between castes in India or in the Middle East, but also between race. Like in the United States, it's very common. Different racial demographics. People are not allowed to participate in these types of relationships, and it's all having to do with monogamy as a control structure, kind of controlling the nature of human intimacy and the nature of human love. And I always tell my clients in our yoga sessions, the human heart is capable of loving more than one person at a time, right? But on the TV or in cultural enforcement type of mentalities, they say no, that's bad, that's wrong. And yet these things are part of our nature, so how can they be bad, right? It's not like we're doing these things with evil emotions behind them. These are just simply innocent sexual exploration of our bodies and things that are very innocent, right? They're not evil like they try to say in the Bible or in Islam or stuff like that. So yeah, this is another big subject, of course, but it's a real big problem, and also it affects people's deep psychology, and it brings about these feelings of shame and guilt and stuff. And humans are very loving, There's no reason for us to feel guilt and shame when we're exploring our sexuality, whether that be homosexuality or bisexuality or what have you. It's all quite natural. I mean, we get a lot of our tendencies from the great apes like bonobos. It's a form of chimpanzee, very human-like. So it's a big subject here. But when we see the emphasis, for instance, from government and religion, especially Western religions, including Islam, we see that we are encouraged to participate in this monogamous ideology, and quite often it leads to guilt and shame, and guilt and shame are very powerful motivators and very powerful cultural like enforcement mechanisms, making love take a back seat essentially to things like caste system or racial demographic, or like monogamous partnerships in which in some cases one or both of the individuals in the partnership are kind of holding back their true desires for the exploration of sexuality. So yeah, it's a good topic. If anybody has any questions or wants more information, let me know in the comments, because yeah, it's kind of hard to break this cultural enforcement down, because it's been so deeply ingrained in us for many generations. You know, it never used to be like this back in the day when we were still wild and free, and the monogamy is a big part of the domestication of humans and the city-dwelling humans, you know, and the compartmentalization of individuals into single-family dwelling units, whereas in the past we used to live in bigger family dwelling, like villages and stuff like that. We had a lot more power, and also we had a lot more solidarity, so if we needed help, it was a lot more easy to get help. But now, because of this single family dwelling mindset, people are then forced to rely on the state for welfare and housing and all this stuff, and we know it, you know, that doesn't work out too well for a lot of people, because the way that naturally humans do these things is in a village type of mentality, or like an extended tribal family. And monogamy is essentially fighting against that for these reasons that we are these reasons are never described to us, and people will live their entire life thinking that we have to do these things, and then once somebody tells you that you don't have to do it anymore, it's like a weight lifted off your back. You know, you can have mutual communication, mutual comprehension, and still be in a relationship, you know, in a loving relationship in which no one is being cheated on, right? People are just exploring their own sexuality. It's a much better way to live, and I encourage everyone to try it out if they haven't tried it out. You know, it sounds kind of taboo, but it's not. Humans are very loving and very sensual and intimate creatures, and when we don't participate in this sensuality or this sexuality, humans get really upset, and you know, develop all these psychological malformations, like all these funny things on the internet, like simps and different types of incels, you know, all of this pent up sexual repression and inadequacies play a large role in the things that well, I can't really say it, I don't want to get banned, but you know, the kids who are doing these bad things in the schools has a lot to do with this repressed psychology, monogamy, sexual inadequacy. So it's a really important aspect for us to go over together. So again, if anybody needs any yoga counseling or something like that, just let me know, schedule an appointment. Make sure to tell your friends and family. It's a touchy subject, of course, sexuality, even though it's so natural. But, you know, again, we're going back to the cultural enforcement, the limitations of culture, limitations of monogamy, as it's perceived and enforced by religions, both Christianity, Catholicism, Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism. You know, monogamy is a really big wrench in the system of human happiness and fulfillment. So thanks guys, see ya.